This was a big
Wow.
deal, and I feel fortunate to be involved in the final North American Ironman race, in which Mike Reilly will be announcing in Arizona here in just under 12 weeks. But this came across the social media yesterday, I believe, that Mike Reilly is announcing his retirement, meaning he will be hanging up or unplugging the mic at the end of 2022 after 33 years of calling races. I mean, I'm sure we all have a Mike Reilly story or time we met him, or you can still hear him saying, you are an Ironman. What was your reaction when you heard this or saw this, and maybe even saw Ironman Voice is his Instagram profile where he made this emotional announcement?
Yeah, I mean, here, he was wearing sunglasses, so right away I'm like, oh, he's going to get emotional under those sunglasses. Um, closure, this it's definitely a closure type of thing. I think his reasonings to spend more time with his family and his grandkids and not missing those opportunities of seeing them grow up because he's traveling to all events around the world,
Yeah.
making other people's dreams come true. And I think it's a very valid reason, and I'm really happy for him. I think that's exciting. He gets to move on to the next chapter of his life, spending time with family. And, it's definitely going to be different, for a couple years, not having him around and part of the Ironman events and
Yeah.
hearing him say your name across the finish line. But again, I think for those who haven't been in the sport as long as some of us have, they're not going to know the difference because they're so new and maybe they're competing in their first Ironman that they don't know any different. And so I think, whoever you ask, I think us, me and you and a lot of our friends who have been in the sport a long time are going to be a little bit more emotional about him leaving than someone who's like, I've never done an Ironman, so I don't even know what you're talking about. I just want to cross the finish line.
I've got a number of interviews and videos with Mike over the years on the Endurance Hour YouTube channel, and one that sticks out to me here, I've got 10 years ago, he was reflecting on his 100th Ironman, announcing that. And it was 8 years ago, that's when I did my Ironman Arizona for the first time, 2013. He was announcing, and his son Andy was doing his first Ironman at Arizona. So I interviewed both
Yeah, I
of
remember
them
that.
pre-race 8 years ago. I only got a few hundred views. I'm surprised. Very specific though. And then, because I was racing, I believe my wife had the camera. I believe she did because she got me crossing a line. But we have Mike calling in his son Andy across the finish line. And I'm kind of thinking about it right now. I
Oh,
get a little
wow.
goosebumps and choked up because I can still hear him saying so many words and paraphrasing though. And now down coming the line is Andy Reilly. Here comes my boy. You are an Ironman. It's just really cool.
Here comes my boy! Andy Riley's coming! Here he comes! Come on, Andy! Come on, Mom! Rosamund! Ernie Janelle! Here he comes! From Poway, California! 27 years old! Our boy, Andy Riley! You are an Ironman! Richard!
Just having, being able to call your son across the line for the first time and seeing them
Yeah.
embrace, and it was just really cool. That's got 5,000 views from 8 years ago in 2013. And now 2022 will be his final North American Ironman race that he'll call. And fortunately for me, I'll be there for it. One more little
Hmm.
bonus, hearing him say those words coming down. I remember when I came down the finish line, I high-fived him. High-fived him.
Oh, nice.
And it was strange because it's dark. Even though I had a good day in terms of time, in Arizona, it got dark. So, they had the lights on. So I had the lights blasted at my face, but I saw Mike off to the right a little bit. And I know the lights are on because they're, showcase people coming across and they take your photo. But I saw him and I be sure to put my hand up and I gave him a high five and came across the line. I was stoked. A negative split of the run on that day. I was just having a great day. And he was there. So that's my, in addition to being a professional friend, over the years, it was
Yeah.
cool to have him call me across as he has a couple different times and then give him a high five on that race. And that was my last. That wasn't my last, but my Arizona 8 years ago. Do you have a Mike Reilly story that comes to mind?
Um, 2008, when I was the first female amateur to cross the line. And he knew it and he announced it that way.
Oh, did he?
That I was the first female amateur. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because when you go to the world championships, it's more about being first, like top in your age group. They don't really highlight necessarily the overall amateur because there's pros there. So they focus on the overall pros.
Yeah.
And then they just focus on, age group top 5 for amateurs. But he actually announced me as the first amateur female, which was pretty special. And then one year I was in Boulder, and I think we did a podcast or we recorded it. He did story time with Mike Reilly in Boulder. It was for the Boulder Ironman. And so I went to that and I recorded it. And it was just the coolest thing to hear his history and how he got started as the voice of Ironman. And the first time he was not the voice of Ironman yet, but he said, "You are an Ironman." And that's the reason he got the job that he had. And that was cool to just hear his history of it all. And then the last time I was in Kona was in 2017. One of my friends got a Women for Tri slot to race in Kona. And part of that was to have lunch with Mike Reilly. And she invited me and 2 other girlfriends to have lunch with Mike Reilly. So that was another cool experience.
That's neat.